Two short lines anchor this project. Augustine. Where your pleasure is, there is your treasure. Where your treasure, there your heart. Where your heart, there your happiness. Pavese. The only joy in the world is to begin. This episode teaches who used those ideas in public, when and why, and then follows a clean thread to Tennessee Williams, who is often described as an admirer of Cesare Pavese, before walking through the Elizabeth Taylor films and Williams' Orpheus track. April 1963, Birmingham, Alabama. Martin Luther King Jr. is arrested on Good Friday during the Birmingham campaign after defying a court order against demonstrations. From his cell, he drafts "Letter from Birmingham Jail," beginning on margins and scraps. In that letter, he cites Augustine. An unjust law is no law at all, and pairs it with Aquinas' teaching on just and unjust laws to explain civil disobedience. Unjust laws degrade human dignity and can be broken non-violently. Just laws should be obeyed. The Augustine citation gives moral authority to action from inside a cell. August 28, 2013, Basilica of St. Augustine in Rome. It is the opening Mass for the Augustinian Order's General Chapter, and it is Augustine's feast day. Pope Francis reaches for Augustine's restless heart to call for movement now, not later. The day, the place, and the audience all line up. A founder's feast used to push for bold pastoral action. A quick note about Augustine as a writer. His book Confessions, late 4th, early 5th century, is widely regarded as the first, or the earliest major, Western autobiography. It isn't a victory lap. It's a searching self-audit, reading his own past to find what he actually loved and how grace changed that love. That is the same diagnostic behind the line we opened with. Pleasure to treasure to heart to happiness. Now a picture that explains Augustine in one glance. In a well-known 17th-century portrait by Philippe de Champagne, Augustine holds a flaming heart, love alive rather than symbolic. His face turned toward a shaft of light marked as truth. At his feet lie overturned books carrying names tied to Pelagianism, the save-yourself-by-effort idea Augustine fought for years. The image reads like a summary: eyes toward truth, love on fire, and self-rescue underfoot. It connects directly to the line at the front of the book. The chain, from pleasure to treasure to heart to happiness, is not a slogan. It is Augustine's diagnosis of what actually steers a life and why grace has to come first. Pavese's line belongs to a specific moment. "The only joy in the world is to begin" appears in his private diary, later published as This Business of Living. Diaries, 1935 to 1950. The entry is 1937. In the same note, he says that when the sense of beginning is missing, when someone is in prison, ill, or stuck in dead habit, life goes flat. The context matters. Pavese had been arrested by the fascist regime in 1935 and sent to internal exile. After release, he returned to Turin, edited and translated at Einaudi, and helped bring American literature into Italy. The sentence reads less like a poster and more like a survival rule. He wins the Strega Prize in 1950. He dies that year. The diary appears in 1952. The diary's voice keeps circulating in culture. A clear example, novelist Ian McEwan chose a line from Pavese's diary as the epigraph to The Comfort of Strangers, later adapted to film in 1990. And the begin sentence shows up constantly in anthologies and talks because it is small, actionable, and true to the life behind it. Here is where Tennessee Williams connects. Williams is widely described as a fan of Pavese. Whether or not he ever put that exact sentence on the record, the kinship makes sense. Williams writes rooms full of people trying to start again against the drag of old habits and old lies. On film with Elizabeth Taylor, you can see three faces of that struggle. In Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, 1958, Taylor's Maggie and Paul Newman's Brick Circle. A family standoff about desire, money, and telling the truth. It is high gloss on the surface and a pressure cooker underneath. In Suddenly Last Summer, 1959, Taylor with Katharine Hepburn and Montgomery Clift confronts power and memory and the lengths a wealthy aunt will go to control a story, even to the point of threatening a lobotomy. In Boom, 1968, adapted from The Milk Train Doesn't Stop Here Anymore, Taylor and Richard Burton play a dying heiress and a poet intruder in a stylized late 60s chamber piece about beauty, mortality, and who writes the last line of a life. Williams also runs an Orpheus thread through his work. In Orpheus Descending, 1957, the myth is reset in the American South. Val Xavier, a drifter musician, is the Orpheus figure whose arrival jolts a closed town. Lady Torrance reaches for life again and risks everything to do it. The Fugitive Kind, 1960, Sidney Lumet's film adaptation starring Marlon Brando and Anna Magnani, carries the same skeleton. An outsider artist enters a closed world, awakens desire and hope, and pays for it. The myth underneath is simple to remember. Orpheus is the musician whose song bends the world. After his wife Eurydice dies, he descends to the underworld to lead her back on one condition: do not look back until both reach the light. He looks back too soon. She is lost a second time. Artists use the story because it carries three charges. Beauty can move even the hardest places. Love risks everything. And one unguarded glance can undo the rescue. Williams turns that into American Rooms. An artist walks in. The music starts, hearts stir, and the town decides whether to kill the song or follow it. The through line is clear. King uses Augustine to separate unjust from just and to act with conscience under pressure. A pope uses Augustine to call for movement now, not later. A painter sums Augustine's whole argument in symbols. Pavese writes, "Begin like a lifeline after arrest and exile." And Tennessee Williams, often linked as a Pavese admirer, keeps staging the same fight. Can a true beginning cut through dead habit before the old world drags it back?